Good evening and welcome to this special meeting agenda of the San Bruno City Council, April 12, 2011. We would like to thank the Garden Club for the floral arrangement they always supply for us. Thank you very much. Carol, roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Connell. Here. Vice Mayor Salazar.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Here.
Mr. Rico, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple of announcements this evening. The 32nd Annual Pancake Breakfast will be held Saturday, April 16th at 9 a.m. and annual Easter egg hunt at 11 a.m. at San Bruno City Park, so please plan to attend. Also, the annual Operation Clean Sweep event will be held on Saturday, May 7th, beginning at 9 a.m., also at San Bruno City Park. That's a big event, so we'd like your participation there also. We have a few presentations this evening. The first one is a presentation proclaiming and declaring April 24th to the 30th as West Nile Virus and Mosquito and Vector Control Awareness Week. And I believe Dr. Peavy is here to accept that. I'd like to read this. Mr. Riegel is here also, who is our representative, who does a lot of work. Let's see, this is the right one, yes. City Council of the City of San Bruno, State of California. A number of whereases, but they're all short. West Nile virus is a mosquito-borne disease that can result in death or severe debilitation for humans, horses, birds, and wildlife. And in 2010, West Nile virus resulted in 5 deaths in California residents and sickened over 100 others. And adequately funded mosquito control, disease surveillance, and public awareness programs are the best ways to prevent outbreaks of West Nile virus. And mosquitoes continue to be a source of illness, death, and human suffering. And professional mosquito control based on scientific research has made great advances in reducing mosquitoes and the diseases they transmit. And the San Mateo County Mosquito and Vector Control District works with other public health agencies to reduce pesticide risk to humans, animals, and the environment while protecting human health. And whereas West Nile Virus and Mosquito and Vector Control Awareness Week will increase the public's awareness of West Nile virus and of the importance of integrated management and controlling mosquitoes and other vectors in San Mateo County. Now, therefore, I, Jim Ruane, Mayor of the City of San Bruno, proclaim this week of April 24th through April 30th, 2011 as West Nile Virus and Mosquito and Vector Control Awareness Week. And I'd like to present this to Dr. Peavy.
Thank you, Mayor Ruane and the City Council and the City of San Bruno. We do this as an opportunity first to get awareness of the public in your cities, that the district exists and the things that you can do to help us out and the services that are available to you. We're paid for by property taxes. If you're having mosquito problems, you're welcome to call us and we'll come out and do a service request. In addition to that, we have a database of sources, and we have the whole county divided into zones with technicians in each zone who go around through those sources on a regular basis and check them for mosquito development. We use biorational pesticides, which are a bacteria which is very specific to the mosquitoes themselves and doesn't harm other wildlife. And we're also available to give people information about insects or rats or other vectors. And we do surveillance for tick-borne diseases throughout the whole county. So thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the city for the monthly slide that you're running of mosquito information on your cable channel. And also thank you for the services of Robert Reichel, who's on a number of our committees and chairs our policy committee and has been very active in the district. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor, and once again, thank you, Robert. We have we were supposed to receive a donation this evening from Half Moon Bay Rotaract, okay, Club to benefit the residents. That will be put off until our next meeting. It's a little early for some of the kids to get here because our meeting started a little early this evening. One more presentation, that's a proclamation recognizing the San Bruno dispatchers. And this will be accepted by Debbie Chambry on behalf of everyone. This is recognizing National Public Safety Dispatchers Week, April 11 to the 15th, 2011, and expressing appreciation the San Bruno Police Dispatch staff for their service during the September 9th explosion and fire incident. Whereas on the evening of September 9th, 2010, a high-pressure natural gas line in the Glenview neighborhood of San Bruno broke apart and exploded. The explosion knocked out a city water main line, ignited flames of 2,000 degrees, shooting over 100 feet into the air. 38 homes were destroyed in the blast, and 66 persons were injured, and most tragically, 8 people lost their lives as a result of the explosion and fire. And whereas immediately upon the initial explosion, San Bruno Police Department dispatch staff handled hundreds of calls from frightened residents and from the first responders throughout the Bay Area and beyond with efficiency, professionalism, and compassion. And whereas San Bruno dispatch staff effectively coordinated with the San Mateo County Public Safety Dispatch Center to facilitate the safe and effective deployment of personnel and apparatus and provided effective support to police department field operations, which achieved timely and efficient evacuation of residents to prevent additional loss of life and quickly accounted for all residents who were impacted by this incident. And whereas public safety dispatchers are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and this incident is but one example of the service that the San Bruno Police dispatchers provide every day to assure the safety of citizens and the public safety first responders who rely upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens. Now, therefore, I, Jim Ruane, Mayor of the City of San Bruno, on behalf of the entire San Bruno City Council and the citizens of San Bruno, do hereby proclaim the week of April 11 to the 15th, 2011, as Public Safety Dispatchers Week in San Bruno, and do hereby recognize the City of San Bruno's dispatchers for the exemplary service during the September 9th incident.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, it's my pleasure to accept this award or this proclamation on behalf of the Public Safety Dispatchers for San Bruno Police Department. I'm honored to work with a team of dedicated professionals who daily strive to provide the citizens of San Bruno and the police officers and staff that they serve with the highest level of customer service. So on their behalf, I thank you very much for this recognition.
Thank you very much. This truly was a team effort on behalf of everyone in the county, but especially our city. Thank you. Review of the agenda. Any changes? I would like to move item 11, the report on community preparedness, to after item number 8, which is public hearings, if that's all right. Any other changes? All right. Approval of the minutes, City Council meeting March 22nd. Any changes, errors, omissions? Seeing none, they will be approved as submitted. Consent calendar. All items considered routine or implemented earlier council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested by a council member, citizen, or staff.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion second on the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Public hearings. Notices have been published, posted, and mailed. There are no public hearings this evening. We will now, are you all here, Dina? Good, great. Item 11, which is receive the annual report from the Community Preparedness Committee, and I believe Ron Lepetis is going to do that for us. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and City staff, my name is Ron Lapidus. I have two other members of the Citizens Preparedness Committee with me, Dina Gunning and George Paponis. And Dina and I are going to jointly present this overview of what we did in 2010 and what we expect to do in 2011. The purpose of our committee is to promote the emergency preparedness of the citizens of San Bruno. Our 2010 members are listed here. I don't believe that I need to read them for you. 2011 members are similar, with the addition of Mike Ward as vice chair. I remain the chair as I was last year. In 2010, our accomplishments were many. We staffed information booths at local and county events, including an event that was held at the Lowe's hardware store, or home improvement store actually, in San Bruno. We represented the city at Preparedness Day, and we were at an Old Navy safety fair that was held in the Tanforan Shopping Center. We provided preparedness training to neighborhood watch groups, and we participate with the San Bruno Amateur Radio Volunteers, and we help them when necessary. Last year, we did planning for CERT training. You'll see on the next slide that our planning for CERT training indeed paid off, and we have incredible support from city staff for that. We also created and distributed It's a Good Feeling to Be Prepared brochure. This is a brochure that lists several things that employees of the city and families and small businesses in San Bruno can do to be prepared for whatever may befall us, as well as encouraging our citizens to sign up for the CERT training. Our goals in 2011 are to support the San Bruno CERT program. The CERT program has actually begun. Last Thursday night was our first night of the CERT training, and this is going to last for another 5 or 6 weeks, followed by a live fire exercise that's going to be held at the firehouse. Dina, would you like to continue with our 2011?
Thanks, Ron. Some of the other things that we continue to do are the public events. Preparedness Day this year will be in June at the county fairgrounds. I believe it will be the first Saturday that the fair starts, which is June 11th. So we're looking forward to participating in that. We've participated every year. This will be the 7th annual Preparedness Day in the county, as well as we're this year working on translating our public service announcements that get aired on cable TV into Spanish and looking at other languages to translate to in the city. Questions? We were kind of short and brief this year. We continue to strive for community preparedness and do community outreach to encourage. We were really thrilled this last year with the Neighborhood Watch program to provide preparedness training, and super thrilled that we have started the CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team training, the pilot project, which started at Shelter Creek last week, as Ron had mentioned. So we encourage anybody who has any questions or information regarding CERT to contact the station. We do have a waiting list for the next session already. I believe we have a full session of folks signed up for the second, and still continuing to get input and take names for a following session. So we're pretty excited to have that off the ground.
Any questions?
I don't have a
Ken?
question. Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to compliment this committee. It is well-stocked with very experienced members. And as the liaison last year, I mean, it was some very detailed and very thorough meetings that were held. Unfortunately, we had a situation last September, but the committee was prepared, and I mean, we've seen the members very involved throughout the community ever since. So thank you for your involvement in the committee and also with the community since September.
Thank you.
Anyone
I think we
else?
have to thank you all as well. It's very fortunate, if folks don't know, in this city to have a dedicated emergency operations center. And without the support of city staff and the council and mayor, that would not have proceeded and progressed the way it did. And obviously it was much needed when the gas line explosion occurred. We always learn lessons from every experience and hope to carry those lessons forward. But again, thanks to the support of the City Council, we now have a CERT program, and we are the last city in the county to have a CERT program, so we're very proud of that.
As you said, your report was very brief, but very, very efficient work. People just don't realize in all of our cities the efficiency and the effort of all of our committees, boards, and commissions. It's really the lifeblood of cities, all of the volunteers that help on a daily basis that never come to the surface to see. You know, people just don't realize all of the work that's done in the background. And you prepared and prepared and prepared, as our first responders did, in hopes that this disaster never happened on September 9th, but it did, and it worked because of all your hard work. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Item number 9, public comment on items not on the agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and or action where necessary or appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Would anyone like to address the council on public comment? All right, seeing no one, we'll go right into conduct of business. Our first item is item A, receive, update, and provide direction on Association of Area Governments' release of the Sustainable Community Strategy Initial Vision Scenario. Staff, please.
Thank you, and good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. You may recall about a month ago I came to you with a presentation about SB 375, state law that requires that transportation policy and land use policy get on the same page in order to reduce greenhouse gases. The first step in this process, working with ABAG as well as MTC, ABAG, of course, in charge of regional land use policy, and MTC in charge of regional transportation policy, is the release of something called the Initial Vision Scenario. And what the initial vision scenario is a growth projection over the next 25 years, how the growth pattern would be if there were no constraints. So if it was unconstrained from a policy standpoint, local government policy standpoint, if it was unconstrained from a funding standpoint, if there were all the funding in the world to subsidize affordable housing and other housing, as well as the infrastructure, as well as unconstrained from a market standpoint. If someone demanded a house, a home would be built for them in the city that they wish to choose to live in. ABAG realizes that this exercise is going to produce a projection pattern that is unrealistic, but it is something that is necessary for SB 375. So they released this initial vision scenario, and the numbers are found within the staff report. And the numbers would equate to about 2 million new residents within the Bay Area. The primary growth would be in Santa Clara County as well as Alameda County. However, there is a significant growth projection within San Mateo County as well, and it equates to about 93,000 new households, which is about a 35% growth pattern from where we are today. Now, how that translates to San Bruno, since we are an area that has higher employment, that does have 2 transit stations, is closer to San Francisco and close to Silicon Valley, is that we have a slightly higher growth projection of about 42%. Now, of course, as I stated before, there are a number of concerns because this is an unconstrained formula. And the reason why this is important for the City Council to take a look at and pay attention to is these numbers are eventually going to turn into the regional housing needs assessment numbers that we work together with the county on, that say how many units we're required to zone for in our next housing cycle. But ABAG expects this to be an iterative process. They want to hear comments from the city councils and from city staff to say why this is unrealistic, what constraints there's actually going to be within this environment in order for that this housing cannot be produced. The first thing I'd like to point out is the positive aspects of this, is that there are areas of San Bruno where we can accommodate growth and where we are planning for growth, namely the crossing area, not only the Navy site that's been built out, but future sites at the Marine base if that ever closes down. Along the El Camino Real, where we have some older commercial uses that have been there for years and that can be transitioned to more housing uses. And of course, near the train station where we're doing the transit corridor plan and we're planning for higher density uses. That said, from a policy, funding, and market standpoint, there are some things that are inconsistent that staff is concerned about, and we'd like to relay those concerns to you so you could also speak to ABAG about this and we could transmit that message to ABAG as well. The first is from a policy standpoint. San Bruno, like many cities in San Mateo County, have single-family neighborhoods next to the El Camino Real. And of course, we have strong policies within our general plan where we like to see growth in some areas. We like to protect those single-family neighborhoods. They're well established and maintain a single-family environment in those areas. The second is, of course, from a funding standpoint, is where's the money for the infrastructure? Now, if we're going to produce 6,000 units in San Bruno under this scenario, where will we have the money for the sewer pipes, the water pipes, everything, and also the subsidy for the affordable housing that's required as part of this initial vision scenario? And then I think even if the policy constraints weren't there from a market or from a funding standpoint as well as a policy standpoint, there would be market reality. We have well-established single-family neighborhoods up and down the El Camino Real corridor as well as in San Mateo County, and I just don't believe those are going to turn over in the next 25 years as projected in this, because there's too much value already within those single-family neighborhoods. So ABAG is hosting a meeting for, they already hosted it for planning directors last week. I happen to sit on the regional committee representing San Mateo County planning directors on the regional ABAG and MTC, and so some of these have already been communicated up to ABAG. They hosted a meeting for all planning directors on April 7th, which I attended, and many of the planning directors had the same concerns. Now they're hosting a meeting for city council members on April 14th at 6 to 8 p.m. It's a CCAG meeting. So I would encourage someone from the city council to attend that meeting as well. So for the next step, of course, is that meeting. I'd like to hear anything if you agree with these concerns or if you have any additional concerns or comments. And we'll also have one-on-one meetings with ABAG to see exactly how they came up with these projections and be able to relay some of our concerns as well.
Any questions, discussion?
Through the chair, very quick, I would agree with the concerns that you raised. I would encourage staff to continue to work with ABAG to try to work out the numbers and have the data accurate so that there's a better understanding between the two parties.
Thank you.
Anything else? Irene?
Yes, I will be attending the CCAG meeting on Thursday, and I will convey those thoughts to them as well. I'm wondering if we could also convey some positive or some kind of give and take. Aaron talked about infrastructure and where's that money coming from. Maybe if we comply in some ways with the housing, that the state would look at different bonding mechanisms, that there would be, you know, and instead of just saying, no, we're not going to do it, that there would be some kind of give and take and looking at how it could be done. Maybe, you know, bonding for that goes down to 55% of the vote or some kinds of things like that. The other concern I have, which I don't know if was mentioned, was water. When the state is telling us to restrict our water intake or consumption rather, 20% by, I forget what year it is, 2020. If we're doing that and we still have the housing that we're having taken care of and added people, where's the water going to come from? Those kinds of things. So that's what I was going to bring to CCAG on Thursday. If there's anything else, if you don't think of it now, let me know by then.
Okay, good.
And
Aaron?
through the chair, those are two great comments, and I think I think the funding issue is an important issue, because they really, actually, the thought behind this is a very positive thought, that they're saying cities that are doing the right thing and planning for housing near transit should be first in line for the funding. So they actually are setting up this process. Now, what I think your thought is great is actually let's start to be specific about how these funding processes could be set up to really put the money for infrastructure in the areas where growth is projected.
Right.
Good.
Okay.
Need anything else?
Sounds good.
You got it.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Right.
Thank you.
10B, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with the San Bruno Park School District to provide an after-school recreation program at Allen School. Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. The city currently offers an after-school recreation program at Allen School that serves approximately 20 students daily. The cost to parents is $125 a month, and that cost covers the staff and the program expenses. San Bruno Park School District recently received an after-school education and safety program grant, the ACES program, from the state and to offer an enhanced after-school recreation program at Allen School. The grant is for $112,500 per year and will cover the cost of staff, supplies, equipment, and a 15% administrative fee. The action before you tonight is authorization for the city manager to execute an agreement with the San Bruno Park School District that calls for the city to be the service provider for the ACES program. A typical day in the program will include a healthy snack, homework tutoring, physical education time, and recreation classes in language, arts and crafts, science, dance, or other departmental offerings. There is no cost to the participants in the program, and students from lower income households will receive priority registration. Based upon the success of the ACES program over at Bel Air School, we estimate the attendance to be between 70 and 100 children daily. All the students currently enrolled in the after-school program at Allen School will be included in the proposed ACES program. The city will bill the district monthly on a basis of $7.50 per child per day, and the staff anticipates the funds received from the district will cover all of the costs of staff, staff supplies, equipment, and program administration. The benefits of the proposed ACES program include enhanced activities for the students, the ability to serve additional students, elimination of costs to the parents, and the ability for the city to recover administrative costs. If approved by the City Council tonight and by the San Bruno Park School District Board tomorrow night, the program would begin when the students return from their spring break on April 25th. It will continue through the end of this school year. For the 2011-12 school year, the program will operate each school day. And Danielle Brewer, Recreation Services Manager, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Good. Any questions of staff?
Through the chair.
Rico?
Just had one, you did already allude to it in your report, but it says staff anticipates receiving grant funds to cover the costs and expenses. So we anticipate. Is there something that would have us not receive all the full grants to cover the program, and therefore there would be out-of-pocket expenses by the city?
There would be no out-of-pocket expenses. The anticipation is what the attendance level will be. We would have capacity to hold, in this program, to have 100 students participate. At lower levels, 70 students, 50 students, we may not reach the $112,500 threshold, the full amount of the grant. However, we would also have lower levels of staffing costs or equipment and supplies. So at any cost, at any level, the program will pay for all of the expenses that are currently paid.
Okay, so based on that, we would make adjustments so that we ensure that there is no additional cost to the city.
Correct.
Thank you.
Through the chair, is this a drop-in program?
This would not be a drop-in program. It would be something where the parents register their children through the recreation division, and we would share the information of who's participating in the program with the school. You would have to pre-register, and we would take daily attendance numbers of who's supposed to be there.
So there'll be a policy that if you don't attend on a regular basis, then you forfeit your spot?
Correct.
Yeah.
Assuming that there is a waiting list and things like that, yes, that would be
And
possible.
does the grant specify that you cannot charge?
We cannot charge for the regular program. There are a couple of things that we can and will charge for, such as if children are continually picked up late. The program goes until 6 p.m. on a daily basis. Parents that come in late, we can charge for the late fee. We also, part of this will include the after-school sports programs. Some of the students might want to participate in the teams. We would charge them, we will still be charging them for the cost of the uniform, the Saturday coaches' time, and all those things, even though they might be practicing during the school day. But for the basic program, there will be no charge to the parents.
Thank you.
Good. Vice Chair? Michael?
How many students are participating currently?
Currently, there's about 20 students that participate. They sign up on a month-by-month basis at $125 per month.
Okay. And that rounds out to roughly $6 a day, more or less?
Yeah, it's generally looked at about a 22-day month.
Okay. And how many students do you anticipate participating when there is no cost?
The same program is offered now at Bel Air School, and that program has the capacity also for 100 and is full. We also have a program at Bel Air School that we have about 18 children in on a regular basis. Our program used to have many more. A lot of the children left our program and moved over to the ACES program because it's free. It's a slightly enhanced program because of the grant funds associated. We would assume that at Allen School we should be receiving between 70 and 100 students.
Okay. And in terms of what's being provided, would it be pretty much exactly the same as what's being offered currently for the $125 a month?
It's actually going to be a very enhanced program. We will have tutors that are bilingual that will be there for homework assistance. Right now we offer the homework assistance, but it's done through recreation leaders. We are hoping to also have at least one of the teachers from the school to come in and therefore be a part-time employee of the city to offer that feature. Also, right now, we offer a lot of after-school, well, I should say, youth recreation programs in the summertime, after school, different times, where you might be taking classes in language or science or some of those things. Those will be included in the curriculum for this program, all paid for by grant funds.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
Those were the questions I was going to ask. so.
Any action on this item?
I'll go ahead and introduce the resolution for adoption.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item 10C, receiver report regarding fire consolidation and authorize staff to proceed with an implementation plan to establish a consolidated Central County, Millbrae, and San Bruno Fire Department.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to ask Chief Haig to deliver the majority of the report in just a moment. I wanted to give you some initial comments, and then following Chief Haig's comments, I will have some additional remarks as well. This item comes to you, as you know, after a long period of analysis and consideration by each of the 4 cities involved and the 3 fire departments represented in the consideration. At this time, this item is being presented to each of the 4 city councils in a very short period of time. Last night, the Hillsborough City Council received a presentation. Tonight, Millbrae will be considering the same item, and next week, Burlingame. So we are prepared with direction from all 4 city councils to take next steps in very short order, if that is the pleasure of the city councils. I wanted to quickly report to you that the Hillsborough City Council took action last night to approve directing staff to move forward with further consideration of implementation and their action is comparable to the one that is being requested of you tonight. As part of the discussion last night in Hillsborough, I'm told that there were a number of items discussed by members of the Hillsborough City Council, and there was some consideration given to the following specific topics. One was the governance of a new consolidated agency, and council members' discussion about whether a federation-type model ought to be considered in addition to the one that is proposed to you tonight, which is a model that would involve a board being established, similar to what Central County now does. There was discussion regarding the timing and the process for moving forward with consolidation of the hillside stations between Millbrae and Burlingame, and there was a consideration regarding the cost analysis. All of those items, I think, merit further consideration, along with some issues that have been raised here in San Bruno, including how exactly would a merged department handle items such as promotion opportunities for members of the consolidated workforce in the single fire department. I would say at the outset that there are numbers of issues. The chief will describe to you what we have done so far. I would leave you with an understanding that there are a number of issues that require more detailed analysis, and I would encourage the City Council to identify any issues that you would like us to take a further look at and give you an opportunity to discuss those further as we move down the line. So with that, I'd ask Chief Haig to give you an overview of the process we've undertaken to date, the conclusions that we've reached, and then I will have some additional comments about cost analysis.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight we are requesting that you receive a report regarding the fire consolidation and authorize staff to proceed with an implementation plan to establish a consolidated Central County Millbrae-San Bruno Fire Department. As background, the cities of San Bruno, Millbrae, and Hillsborough, and Burlingame have been working together for the past several years to evaluate the feasibility of a merger of the three fire agencies operated by the four cities. Millbrae and San Bruno have been sharing battalion chief and fire chief services for the past several years, while Burlingame and Hillsborough merged in 2004. The cities have been working with consultants since 2007 to establish feasibility and then an implementation plan that was presented to the city councils in 2010. As directed by the city councils after receipt of that report, the city managers and two fire chiefs have been meeting to develop a cost-sharing formula and a governance model that can be recommended to the four city councils for approval. The 2010 consultants report included an option to consolidate administrative function only, but staff analysis demonstrated that the cost of the savings associated with that option may not be significant, but may warrant further discussion. The staff analysis to date indicates that the majority of the savings realized through a merger would come from the closure of two hillside stations located in Millbrae and Burlingame, and then constructing a new station located midway between the two existing stations. Without the reduction of the station, the opportunity to realize financial savings and the desirability of merging fire departments is greatly reduced. On March 16, 2011, the city managers and fire chiefs presented their recommendations to the Central County Fire Board and subcommittee representatives from San Bruno and Millbrae on the cost formula and governance models. The result of that meeting was direction to present the information directly to each of the four city councils for review, discussion, and directions as we are doing this evening. In the staff reports, attachments identify the proposed budget for the consolidated department. The total cost is based upon the salary benefit structure and per capita cost now in place for the Central County Fire Department. The recommended cost sharing formula presented to the joint subcommittees on March 16th identifies the total cost of the consolidated department being shared based on the following formula: San Bruno 30%, Millbrae 20%, and Central County Fire 50%. The initial presentation at the March 16th meeting used 2008-2009 budget figures. Since that March 16th meeting, the city managers agreed to update the cost and savings calculations used to using the approved 2010-11 budget figures for all four agencies, as this would reflect a more accurate measure of the formula. Also at the March 16th meeting, staff presented and discussed the proposed governance structure for the consolidated fire department. The recommendation was to use the same governance model that currently is being used by the Central County Fire Department. This structure provided for each city council to delegate 2 elected officials to serve as members of the board. The city managers would rotate responsibilities for oversight of the department on a 2-year rotational basis. Staff further recommends that one of the participating agencies be designated to perform the legal and human resources functions to provide consistency. Cost allocations for these functions need further clarification and would be part of the future discussions should the city council provide direction to continue towards consolidation. Should the city council concur with staff's recommendation to move forward on developing an implementation plan, an early step would be to run a pilot program and install a temporary fire station in the Burlingame Hills, closely located to the anticipated future site of the new station. This will allow us to demonstrate that the station reduction will still allow the agencies to meet acceptable response times. At the same time, the pilot program would determine if a flex engine operating out of Station 37 in Millbrae would be necessary. This flex engine program is included in the consolidated budget cost, and what the flex engine's purpose would be to limit the impact on outlying agencies during the mainly Monday through Friday training sessions that we conduct jointly. So we're only moving the minimum amount of engines necessary to conduct the training. In closing, while there continue to be a number of issues remaining, staff recommends that consolidation represents an opportunity to contain cost, as well as maintaining or enhancing fire service to communities. Although this report does not show significant savings for San Bruno, we need to recognize the savings already realized through shared services and consider costs should we remain a standalone agency. With that, that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I wanted to provide a few additional comments to elaborate on some of the materials that are attached to the report that you have in your packet for tonight's meeting, specifically related to costs of the proposed four-city fire department, which is contained on one sheet, and secondly, the estimated savings for each agency based on the cost-sharing formula that the chief has just described. As the chief indicated, the total cost of the merged agency based on our best analysis is just over $25 million annually. That cost would be divided by the cost-sharing formula, and in order to reach a projected understanding of what the projected savings would be for each agency, we applied the fiscal year 10-11 budget numbers. Those are not actual costs, but budgeted costs, and compared those to each agency's allocated share of the new department's annual cost. For the city of San Bruno, as shown on the page titled Formula Estimated Savings, those savings are estimated at approximately $230,000 a year. I would caution the City Council that these numbers represent our best estimates, and secondly, as noted in the footnote to the table, they assume pay and benefit costs at the current Central County Fire Department levels. The City of San Bruno, as the City Council is aware, has a benefit structure which does provide at least one benefit that may result in a higher cost for the City of San Bruno, and that is the current 3 at 50 retirement program that is not currently implemented in each of the other 3 agencies. As such, I can't swear or warrant to you that $230,000 is precisely the amount of savings that might be realized by the City of San Bruno if, through the further analysis and the implementation procedures, it was determined that costs, contracted and or committed costs in San Bruno for benefits may be higher than the CCFD rates. Should that be the case, you might see that the $230,000 as suggested here is that amount would be lower. The chief indicated that the City of San Bruno has participated now for many years in this discussion, leading to the anticipated action to move forward with implementation of a merger, with 2 primary considerations in mind. One is that we seek a long-term strategy for sustainable, cost-effective service delivery to residents of San Bruno. Clearly, the City Council is aware that we have taken numerous actions over the past several years which have resulted, in order to contain our budget and match revenues or match expenditures to a declining revenue base. That has necessitated reductions in our costs for fire service delivery, as it has necessitated changes and reductions across all of the city's service areas. We have very successfully implemented a shared services program with the City of Millbrae, and we have achieved roughly $500,000 in annual cost savings as a result of that strategy. Those savings would continue in a 4-way partnership, and we would hope to achieve some amount of additional savings. Again, our goal has been to make sure that the City of San Bruno receives a sustainable level, an adequate level of fire service at a cost-effective amount that is affordable to the City of San Bruno. Secondly, as the chief indicated, there may be in a larger department with a greater level of staff deployment opportunity to realize some efficiencies and/or some improvements in services that we currently deliver. Again, as the council is aware, over the past year in particular, we needed to make a change due to budget constraints in the fire prevention area. It makes little sense for this, or rather, it is a costly initiative to maintain a full-time fire prevention captain to support our division chief who provides prevention services, and that position has had to be redeployed in order to meet budget objectives and fire suppression line service delivery objectives. Again, in a larger agency, we would hope to be able to take advantage of economies of scale and be able to deliver a more robust fire prevention service to the citizens of San Bruno at a cost-effective and not cost-increasing level. Those, again, are the primary objectives with which staff has participated in the conversations to date, and which we would anticipate continuing as we move forward. So I would only caution you that while there are substantial savings that would accrue primarily to the Central County Fire Department, as you see on the paper here, I would be remiss if I left you with the impression that I can tell you precisely what would be savings for the city of San Bruno and whether they would be significant. Again, staff continues to recommend that this is a viable strategy and one which we believe better situates the city of San Bruno into the long term to maintain an adequate, desirable, and sustainable level of fire services to the residents of San Bruno.
Good. Let's start out with some questions of staff at this point in time. Ken?
I'm just looking at the numbers, and you can't help but compare. Why is it range from 230 to 546,000? You know, I mean, you already have a Central County station that has that has probably benefited from a merge, and has some savings and some efficiencies. Why is it all of a sudden? Why are they saving twice as much? I mean, that's what jumps out at me.
The way that the savings were calculated was actually a pretty straightforward calculation. It took the total cost of the new department at $25 million, apportioned that by the 50-20-30 formula, and then subtracted from each city's share their current fiscal year 10-11 budget. Now, what level of fire service is provided, what is the cost and benefit pay structure for each of the agencies may differ. It may differ substantially, let's say, between the city of San Bruno and the city of Millbrae. So those budget numbers reflect the current situation and the current policies and the current decisions that have been made by each of the city councils in building their budgets. They don't reflect a standardized single department level of service or level of cost. So where you see the fluctuation is partly driven by the fact that our individual budgets are what they are, and the savings would be you apportion the savings based on. You portion the cost based on the formula. For CCFD, again, my guess is that they would realize a significant level of savings, primarily because they would be sharing they would not be increasing they would be sharing some of their fixed cost base over a larger department or a larger we're paying very little for administration. They're paying a fair
They were
amount for
overpaying.
administration. So, pardon me?
They were overpaying?
Well, I don't think I could say that. I mean, that's.
I was just looking, yeah, I
There
was
are
just
others
looking
in
at
the
the mo-
audience who would be more familiar with that, but no, I don't know that we could say that. One thing that I think the chief did say earlier is that the primary driver for the cost savings is the consolidation of 2 stations into one in the hills between Millbrae and Burlingame. Those savings accrue to all of the agencies as a result of this cost-saving formula. But it's primarily a comparison with what we're spending now and what we would be spending that has an infinite number of variables that would be very hard to precise.
And if I could just add, you did mention that we are already in the midst of savings because of our shared services,
That's
with
correct.
Millbrae. But that would not be available if we didn't participate in this. If Millbrae, for example, if Millbrae were to join Central County,
And San Bruno did not?
and San Bruno did not, it would not necessarily be advantageous for them to share a chief with us at that point. May not be logical.
It would certainly create a different scenario.
Yeah.
It might present an opportunity for San Bruno to contract with the expanded CCFD department that it now included Millbrae, or to work out some other arrangement. Absent that, it would require the city of San Bruno to staff back up for a full department at a
So we
cost
shouldn't
that-
lose sight of the existing savings that we're. yeah.
I would urge you not to lose sight of the existing savings, yes.
Good. Anything else? Mr. Medina and I have been on this subcommittee and have participated in a number of meetings regarding this, and I've just asked, Rico, would you like to ask some questions now?
No, wait to hear from my colleagues.
Okay. Anybody else? Michael?
Through the chair. I have a couple of questions. So, in terms of what's being proposed, or at least conceptually being proposed, nothing structurally would change in San Bruno. We would still maintain the 2 stations, and they would be staffed roughly the same way they are today.
Correct.
Okay. And what's being proposed for the consolidated station, if I recall from the earlier reports, they are going to close 2 existing stations and build 1 brand-new station somewhere in between the 2?
Essentially midpoint between the 2 existing stations.
Okay. And the cost of that new station is being distributed among the agencies?
Both the costs and the savings, yes.
Okay. And so in that, there was one line item that said debt servicing? Is that
That's
that would-
correct.
That would be the cost of that
Correct.
station? Okay. And in the staff report, it referenced that, let's see, that in the Citygate report, there was a proposal, or was it a proposal or a recommendation for administrative-only consolidation?
I think that was recommendation number 4. Was the administrative consolidation, functional consolidation. And as the city managers reviewed with the fire, we did, as we redid the structure, the administrative structure, there was a cost savings. The feeling at the time was more significant savings would be worth the effort to look through the station relocation, station closure. I don't think it's necessarily off the board. I think the city manager had mentioned a look at a federated type of model, North County model, as maybe somewhere we go interim or slowly walk before we run type of proposal. So I think it's still out there. I just don't think these numbers kind of don't reflect that merge.
Okay. Okay. So the fundamental difference then is, in one model, we're looking at really just merging the management structure between the departments, and in the other one, we're doing that plus we're merging a station or 2 stations. Is that?
What you're looking at now is you're looking about the merger of the 2 stations. That's what this proposal includes.
Okay.
And in terms of how the new department is envisioned, and this may be premature, but all the firefighters then would become employees of this new consolidated agency, and they would no longer be employees of their respective cities.
Ultimately, a full consolidation, you're exactly right,
Okay.
Councilman. Yeah, so that would be, but there are obviously, as we've just talked, there are quite a few more steps
Mhm.
to go by the time we get there, and I think these numbers reflect a full consolidation. So we will need to take steps to reach those goals also.
Okay. Okay. And the city manager made a reference to possible additional costs being related to differences in benefits. And so kind of related to my last question then, would that be then in the interim where we would be basically honoring our existing commitments through some period, and then after that there would be new contracts in place?
I would say yes, that is correct. Depending on what is where those cost factors are, and one of them I would say is probably a long-term commitment, and that would be the existing members of the fire department who have a vested entitlement to the 3 at 50 retirement formula. I can't answer specifics tonight because we haven't done the additional analysis that would be necessary to determine what is the best way to transition into a single compensation structure, and what would be the effect of for example, the 3 at 50 retirement formula, and how long might we anticipate getting to a standardization, and what might that cost. I only wanted to flag the issue for your consideration in as much as it might affect the precise level or the precise amount of savings that might be realized by the city of San Bruno. The short answer to your question is yes, that a variety of issues would need to be addressed and would be implemented probably over a period of time.
Okay. And we looked at the numbers there. They seem to be an annual run rate for a combined department, but would there be also any significant startup costs or something, or in the transition that aren't reflected here? Would a lot of those be addressed, I guess, by attrition? I mean, even things like stationery, signage. I mean, would we wait till the old signs fell apart and then replace them with new signs, or would there be startup costs to this new department?
The primary I don't believe that there are significant startup costs, with the exception of the costs associated with the transition of the station. And those we have attempted to factor in costs associated with the closure and reestablishment of the stations in the way that the chief identified. Do you have something?
Well, coincidentally, if we did do a temporary station pilot program to verify response times and probably receive some overtime savings in that process, Millbrae happens to have a trailer that is being discontinued being used for the new plant being built, and so coincidentally we may be able to use that trailer as a housing unit for the new station. And simply, we'll definitely have cost, PG&E hookups and so forth, and water, sewers, kind of things like that, but certainly minimized considering the rent of a trailer, live-in trailer.
Okay. And were the the surplus costs of the existing stations factored into this as well?
Not at this time. There was, obviously there was the potential of if the pilot program worked out well and everything was good and the city decided to sell those properties or do what that was simply a discussion item, and I don't think any final determination's been made what would happen at that point.
Okay. All right, that's it. Thank you.
We get our cut.
Doreen?
What can I say after all that? My only, not concern so much is, my only question is, have you guys talked about what would this do to the JPA first responder program, if anything? Would it just make it more efficient? Has that factored into any of your discussions?
I think the customer service, level of service was always the priority. By operationally, we operate this way throughout the county. Obviously, you remove a company from there could be an impact. That was our discussion regarding the flex engine, try to minimize those impacts to cover those. But I really think the level of service will remain the same or even better.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, through the chair, there obviously has been a lot of time and effort that's been spent, as indicated. Since '07, this has been examined and looked at. '04, Hillsborough and Burlingame entered into an agreement. Thus far, it's been successful. This is just a step, but as was alluded to by the chief, there are many questions that still have to be answered and looked into. Could be from seniority, which I know is an issue, from bidding. Those type of issues are very important to the staff. I know this is going to take a collaborative effort from everybody. That's from labor, it's from the employees, it's from the cities, it's from the councils. There's 20 different formulas that were looked at, as our understanding, in trying to come up with a percent for allocation. So it's been an arduous process in coming this far that we have. I know San Bruno's savings is listed as $230,000 according to the estimate savings, but again, that assumes the benefits at the CCFD level. Now, I'm not an accountant, and I obviously am just here a simple council person, but I don't perceive, because of our retirement option that we currently exist with the staff we have in San Bruno, that we would have and receive those initial savings right away. Maybe after a period of time or length, we could achieve those, but not initially. We've already have contracts and obligations, I believe, at this time, as I sit here, with our current fire department with the city of San Bruno, and I think those should, at this time, unless something changes, that should be honored. And therefore, there will be additional costs that we may not see in total savings. But at the same time, I think in the end, our biggest concern and issue is the response time to those that need us, is a service level that we can offer our community, and those are things that are very on my mind, very much on my mind. Not only because of September 9th, but also prior to me getting on the council in '05, we did brownout, taking out an engine out of service of San Bruno to do reductions so we could balance the budget. That's something that I certainly didn't like seeing then, don't want to see happen now. I think it's critical that we have those engines and trucks on the streets and staffed adequately, and more than just adequately, but to the best of the ability, so the firefighters that go out there every day are best served, so they in return can best serve the residents and communities that they go into. Because let's be honest, San Bruno just doesn't stay in San Bruno, Millbrae just doesn't stay in Millbrae. They already do go to neighboring cities and back up and mutual aid. And as the mayor and I have said, and others, certainly it was an indication in September that one big shared service that night. And it was successful, and it worked, and I was proud of San Bruno and every agency that responded that night and subsequently. So even though there are more questions and more work that has to be done, and I know that there are, for the staff that are here in the audience, I'm sure there are many more things in your mind that need to be addressed and need to be ironed out, but we have come so far. I think it's worth us to continue to pursue down this path, continue the dialogue and go to the next step and phase of this and see if a shared service through the 4 agencies is viable and to the best of our cities to continue the service level that we expect and our residents expect.
All right, thank you very much. I don't want to make this oversimplification, but for me, it just makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, in a bigger San Mateo County a number of years ago, you have 20 cities, larger and smaller, and 20 chiefs and 20 duplications of services. And because of budget issues and creativeness, we started, sharing a chief, and also in the police department. It's worked out very, very well. And as I said before, what happened September 9th shows what this county can do. There were no, uniform segregations that evening. Everybody worked together. And if there's a way to save a little money, but first of all, take care of our citizens the way we've been taking care of them, the same way or better, then it's a no-brainer for me. It makes sense. We have some hurdles to go over, and through this whole process, I don't believe we run into any major roadblocks. We've had some little bumps in the road and some potholes, but there's nothing so far in the future that I can see that would prevent us from making this happen. It just makes a whole lot of sense. Makes a whole lot of sense for the 4 cities and possibly for more cities down the road. So, I mean, I'm all for it. If there's a way we can get through with attrition or however we work it out, the issues with our firefighters' pensions, those types of things, I think labor has, especially fire, has shown us that they're willing to step to the plate to help us out. So I think it's a good thing. I really look forward to it, and I'm in favor of taking this next step. So with that, would anyone, I see we have some first responders. Anyone like to speak on this matter? No? Okay. Any more discussion? Action, I'd like a motion to authorize staff to proceed.
So moved.
Second?
Motion second to authorize staff to proceed with an implementation plan to establish a consolidated Central County, Millbrae, and San Bruno Fire Department. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much. I know staff has put in an awful lot of time in this, and it's very much appreciated.
Through the chair.
Michael?
Can I ask staff when we might expect another update on this?
What is the schedule?
They have another city manager here, maybe.
We
Tell from Burlingame might offer some
actually,
commentary.
I'd like to say that we, I don't know, what do you think, Jim? 60 days?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like
This
to,
year?
I think we all want to see this keep moving. We've got some good progress in the recent past, and I think your 4 city managers and the 2 chiefs are very much committed to delivering you timely updates and work product.
And through the chair, on the timeline, I know it's already been addressed at the subcommittee level in Hillsborough, but obviously a lot of cities have put things on hold, and that means hiring out, promotion, et cetera. And so I do think the quicker the better that we can get back this information, and so cities can plan their budgets and try to hopefully plan for what's coming down the pike one way or the other.
Great. Item 11, we've already received the report of Community Preparedness Committee. Item 12, comments from council members.
Through the chair, Mr.
Ken?
Mayor, just on a lighter note, I know we'll start making weekly, or at least every meeting, the 71st Annual Posey Parade is scheduled for the first Sunday in June, June 5th, Sunday at 1 p.m. And brochures will be going out to all the schools and be available to all children and families. This year's theme is San Bruno, City with a Heart. So go out there and start decorating and planning your floats.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? All right, item 12, we do have a closed session this evening. That's to confer with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. One case, California Government Code Section 54954.9A, and I don't believe there will be any reportable action. We don't anticipate any reportable action. So having said that, this meeting is adjourned until the next city council meeting, April 26th, right here at the Senior Center.